No blowing on your fucking sleeves there, Peter. Peeps,
Right.
what's the beef? Welcome to episode 6 of the Chef Fit podcast with Cameron and...
P to the Izzo, B to the Jizzy.
I told you, man. You fucking might remember him from the interlude on The Chronic in 1990. Dre. You need to come in, man. I said this 2 episodes. 2 episodes ago. You need to come in like fucking Tourette's. You need to go, Peter. You know, something along those lines. Fucking,
Let's go, champs.
Let's go. Right, episode 6. Sleep. This is a big one. So today I want to dive into why chefs struggle with sleep. With some obvious reasons. And then I'm going to dive into what you need to do to improve your sleep. And why is that important? Because chances are your biggest problem right now is the fact that your energy is fucked. Like, it's fucked. And as a result of your energy being fucked, Jeff, like, you get into a mode where you've no motivation to do anything and you can't be bothered with stuff. And it'll be just going through the motions, going to work, get your shit done. And then outside of that stuff, then what ends up happening is you come home and you don't do anything. And days off are just... God, they fly by, and 2 days will have gone by, and then you go back into work and it's like, did I have a day off? No. Oh, I did. I had 2 days there. You know, that's what happens when you've got that stems from having no energy as a result of bad sleep cycles. Peter can attest to this. He sleeps terribly. You know, I'm someone who struggled with sleep for many years. Mostly down to smoking copious amounts of weed, staying up late at night, and watching shite on fucking YouTube. You know, classic trap that I used to fall into, and then
the exact same.
Yeah.
The exact same. Go home, smoke weed until you fall asleep, 3 o'clock in the morning, on the couch, wake up 5:15, stumble up to bed, lie down for 3 hours, and then wake up more tired than when you went to sleep.
Waking up. Do you know when you talk to those, you ever go into a fucking Owlad pub and you talk to those Owlads and they've got that bit of fucking spit forming at the side of their mouth?
That's now calcified.
They've got the calcified saliva because they can't remember to wipe their mouth. That's what Peter and me were like fucking during those years. Wake up after 2 hours of drifting in the void. And that's the thing.
Freezing cold, back in bits, 5:15. Still sitting in some fucking godforsaken COD 4 lobby. And you wake up, okay, one more game.
COD 4 lobby.
Big time.
Drifting, and the autoplay on YouTube starts going, and you end up in the dark reaches of the internet. Fucking.
Oh, we had the excuse. You had the excuse. Oh, yeah, mental day and work, come home, still in chef mode, you know? Yeah. Oh, man, mad service tonight, man. Fucking hell, you want to see it? We did 250 covers, you know? Fucking word. Give me blow off that.
Yeah,
as a can.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's a vicious cycle from there. That's speaking the truth. I don't think anyone really fucking talks about that, but that is a reality. And whether your wind down is smoking weed or your wind down is boozing, you know, both kind of doing the same thing. You come home and you fucking have, you know what I mean? You need that thing that winds you down. But eventually that starts to become, that's not just like, finished on a Saturday night, fucking off on a Sunday. So, do you know what I mean? I'll blow off a bit of steam. It starts to become a daily ritual, like a nightly ritual that you end up in. And as a result of that nightly ritual, your pattern is stay up late as fuck and, you know, be in the shit sleep-wise, and your energy is bollocksed. So, I know...
Literally every chef. There are no exceptions to this one.
Yeah, there is no exception.
There are no exceptions to this one. There isn't a chef that goes home and gets his 8 hours sleep a night. There isn't one.
Yeah, and this is me, like, for years, especially when me and my brother were working together in a restaurant around the corner here. And it was like, fucking the knock-on effect of having shit sleep was so bad. It was like, you have that wind-down routine, as I said, leads to you staying up way later than you should. You get fuck all sleep. You know, even when you do fall asleep, it's probably shit sleep. You wake up in rag order, and then you need at least 2 or 3 coffees to make yourself feel normal again. And then, like, during service, I think I got to the point where it's like, drinking, I think I was drinking like 8 double espressos a day. And I might have a monster going to the gym or something if I was going to train that day. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you're just melting your fucking adrenal glands. You end up in this weird, your body gets in a very, very fucked up state. You're just in rag order. And you repeat, and I'm so tired when I come home that, again, my chance of doing things out of emotion are far more. So it's, again, I go back to my comfort zone, which is smoking a joint. And it's like repeat the cycle over and over again. And you get to a point where like months and years pass and I can't remember the last time I had a good night's sleep. You know, that's a reality. I can't remember the last time I had a good night's sleep. But somewhere going through that, when I got out of the service industry and I ended up I remember I ended up moving home to my L1. I was sleeping on the couch, and then I was sleeping in the box room upstairs, and I was trying to qualify as a personal trainer, you know, and I ended up just pursuing my fitness dream as much as I could. And when I started working in a gym, my hours changed. So all of a sudden, I wasn't doing fucking 80 hours a week. Now I was doing 40 hours a week. And the ability to sleep was just like, Jesus Christ. I remember waking up one day because I ended up kicking the weed for a while. Started really focusing on my sleep because I'd always been someone who tossed and turned and never fell asleep. And I remember one night I just nailed it. And I was like 8.5 hours, woke up, and it was like, you know that, like, it's probably been a couple of years now, Peter, but you're lying in bed and you're sinking into the fucking pillow and everything is so cozy and you're feeling so good. And you wake up in the morning, it's like, fuck, I'm well rested. This is fucking bizarre. Feet touch the ground. It's like, right, I'm ready to go. Like, that is a very, very, very good feeling. And it's a very, very elusive feeling for a lot of chefs. I don't know.
The last time I had that feeling was like, it must have been 2 nights before FIFA 98 came out, because I haven't had a sleep since. And again, I count myself as special, even though I'm not. I have this excuse and that excuse. I'm special, or I'm fucking not.
Fucking learns FIFA 98.
FIFA 98. You pick between sleep or FIFA, and I've done it since.
Beast.
You know what I mean. It's not healthy. We know it's not healthy.
Big time, man. Big time. And I can remember that moment for me when I did start sleeping properly, and it was such a revelation. It was such a fucking like, Jesus, man, how have I not thought about this before? And then I really started getting into sleep. I started getting a bit nerdy because I was then, once I got qualified in personal training, I had a bit of an accelerated process where I started teaching the courses that I did within a fucking couple of months. And when I was teaching those courses, I would be talking about sleep and I'd be talking about your physiology. And I got really, really fucking into it. And I discovered some really mad things that I never realized. I never realized this. So the thing you got to understand is human beings have a natural rhythm with light and dark. It's called a circadian rhythm, right? It's a human's relationship with the sun and the moon. And that might sound a bit fucking, crystal fucking ball hippy drippy shit, but it's real. We have a relationship, and it's as simple as this. When the sun goes down, we go down. When the sun comes up, we come up. All right? That's as simple as I can make it. And before human beings had buildings, before we had electricity, before we had, overhead shelter like we have right now, we had to sleep outside, and we had to abide by this. Our bodies were naturally built we were naturally in this rhythm of going to sleep when the sun went down and waking up when the sun came up. And that was a very, very good sleep cycle. But now that we have buildings and we have electricity, we can stimulate our brains and protect ourselves from this rhythm. And we're totally out of whack with it. So as a result of that, you come home and it's like you stick on the fucking lights here. Like, I'm making a terrible shade for my sleep tonight. It's going to be shit because I got these lights on. And what's happening is, because we've got lights and electricity, you've got phones, you've got laptops, TV in the corner, fucking, I could turn the lights on as bright as I want. What happens is these lights trick your brain into thinking the sun is still out. So your pineal gland, right, is tricked into thinking the sun is still out. So it does not release melatonin. Melatonin is the sleepy hormone. your brain releases it at night. So your body starts to get into a restful state and like, oh, right, I think I'm going to go to bed. You get that feeling. That's melatonin being released into your system by your brain. Your brain is telling you that it's time to fucking go to sleep. Now, if you spend a lot of time looking at electricity, what happens when you're looking at a screen, like I'm looking at a screen right now on my laptop, and it's like, what's happening here is your screen is emitting something called blue light. Blue light is a type of frequency that gets into your pineal gland and it stops your brain releasing that melatonin. So you go to bed, then your brain has not released any melatonin because you're basically artificially tricking your brain into thinking the sun is still out. So you get into bed and it's like your brain's still awake. So you're fucking tossing and turning like an owl crocodile doing an alligator roll, and you do it for hours and hours and hours, and eventually over the course of 4 or 5 hours you fall asleep. But you don't fall into it. You either fall into a really, really deep sleep. You probably have a weird fucking dream. And then you wake up and you're absolutely bollocksed. Like you're absolutely bollocksed. And because you're absolutely bollocksed, you'll hit the snooze button and you'll stay in bed for fucking ages. But here's the thing. The whole process is on its fucking arse. It's on its head. You should be going to bed sleepy and you should wake up and you should be filled with this energy. Why? Because when you finish a restful sleep, your brain should release a stress hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is the hormone that causes us to kick into fight or flight. And that's when if you've slept properly, you'll have no problem waking up. You don't have any problem waking up. That's because your circadian rhythm is balanced and it's in rhythm. You know what I mean? And when you're not in rhythm, you'll know because you're fucking all over the place and you wake up with your head up your arse. And this is a big, big problem. So what I want to cover here, this isn't a massively long episode, but what I want to cover here is what you need to do to get it sorted. So first off, like, Peter, what time do most chefs finish work and get home at?
After midnight anyway.
Okay.
If you're in the restaurant trade, you're talking last order's 11, send the last plate 11:30, clean down 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
If you're not going for a point, you're home at 12:30.
So if you're home at 12:30, what time are you in work the next day on average?
On average, I say average out around 10 o'clock.
Okay. So
if you've got lunch service on, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So the key thing to understand is you've got to make the best of a bad hand. Like a lot of chefs, I don't think it's really feasible to go, well, I'm going to sleep 9 hours. You know, I don't think that's going to be the case. You might even struggle to get 8 hours. They generally say 7 to 8 hours of restful sleep is ideal. Okay. So you've got to make the best of what you have. So for the majority of you, it's going to be 7 hours. That's what you need to focus on as a target. Now, when you focus on those 7 hours as a target, the important thing is to be deliberate with your time. You need to be deliberate here. What do I mean by being deliberate? For me, the biggest thing was implementing a deliberate routine when I was going to sleep. So when I got home at night, let's say when I was PTing and stuff, like I would get home at, let's say, 10 or half 10 at night, right? And when I'd get home, I would make sure that I've texted everyone that I needed to. I got back to everyone I needed to, and I set my alarm. And I would not actually look on my phone late at night. After when I got home, it was done. I wasn't looking at it. I would have all of these lights off, and I would fucking light candles, and I'd put them on the thing here. And I actually invested in a nice little set of candles. Sounds a bit fucking creepy. It is, but again, good shit. Anyway, had the candles lit, and oh god, and in lighting the candles, I wasn't exposing myself to as much light. I wasn't staring at my phone. I used to have the TV on in the corner. You know what I mean? I'd watch a fucking podcast or something for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Then I would get into bed and I would have a very dimmed lamp on and I would read for 10 to 15 minutes. And this process that I put in place sounds really, really fucking simple, but I was very deliberate with it. And it was like magic. It was bizarre. It was really, really fucking bizarre because I got my body into this rhythm of doing the same thing with my routine every single night. And when I got myself into this routine of doing it, all of a sudden my sleep cycle started getting more and more consistent. And then my energy got more consistent. And then all of a sudden I noticed my disposition in life was different. I was more positive. I was less short with people. It's like, there's a lot of things you got to look at with your brain when it comes to not sleeping. Like, I don't know. Hey, you obviously are massively sleep adapted now, Peter. Do you know what I mean? But let's say if I was to go and sleep the way Peter does now, like let's say I sleep I do my best to try and get 7 to 8 hours. Okay, I'm trying to get up as early as I can. I think Peter, because he tosses and turns, will probably you're probably talking more in the range of like 4 to 5 hours. So if I was
between 4 and 5 hours,
yeah. So if I was to sleep 4 hours now, like I would not be human the next day. I would be fucking like losing my shit. I'd probably have to drink 10 coffees and shit myself just to make it through the day. Why? Because I'm not sleep adapted. But the key thing to understand there is what is actually happening. Like what happens to people when they get shit sleep? What happens to you? The frontal cortex, which is the frontal part of your brain, it's responsible for your personality. It's responsible for your emotional state. It's responsible for formulating sentences and talking. It actually doesn't function well when you're not rested. It doesn't function well. So the key thing to understand here is I noticed my life started changing when I really addressed my sleep patterns, and I struggled with it for so many years. The key thing here is have a deliberate routine. As I said, reduce the lights that are in your gaff. Stop using the phone so fucking late at night. If you can not look at your laptop up close, that's great as well. Like right now on my screen, my laptop screen is orange. I use an app.
I have that blue light filter I have on my phone. Yeah.
Exactly. So you have blue light filter on your phone, and you can get a app called Flux. That's f.lux. And I get that. You can get that on your phone, or you can get it on your laptop. The laptop is fucking solid because it naturally works with your fucking circadian rhythm. So my laptop screen is very orange right now, so it's not emitting any blue light. So that means it means it's not going to affect.
What about the actual bedroom environment? Can that help? Like not with the just going to sleep, but with the actual quality of the sleep.
Yeah.
Like I found, like we had these put in recently.
Nice. Yeah, exactly.
Right? We didn't have them before, and we only just moved in here now in December. So it's not like it's been a long time thing, but it was just to reduce the condensation in the window before it turned into a problem. Yeah. But having the cold air in the room has helped my sleep greatly in the last month and a half. Does that make a difference? Like the actual, because before it's like, right, go to bed and fucking, wrap up tight, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I find now to not have that.
Yeah.
And to have this, a little breeze, you feel it on your skin,
Body temperature is huge. It's absolutely massive. And that was the second thing that we need to move on to. It's like, obviously, once you settle your brain down, good. But you also need to look at what your body is doing. So the worst thing that you can do late at night is eat a heavy meal if you want to sleep properly. Like if you have a big fucking big fucking Chinese, and you're fucking scoffing a 4 and 1 and a few fucking chicken balls, and once you have them, like it's sitting in your stomach, and then you get into bed, and then it's like your body temperature increases, and you're waking up in the middle of the night, you're sweating like a cunt, and it's like that's not ideal because your body temperature is way too high. There's a reason that animals go into hibernation and their body temperature drops to like close to freezing point. It's because that's the ideal temperature your body to be in a restful state. So think about it like this.
What about your own temperature?
Yeah, exactly. So what are you doing to first off control the temperature in your room, and then what are you doing to control your body temperature? Those are the two things you need to look at. So within your room, as Peter's saying there, like I usually have my window open year round. Even if it's the height of winter and it's fucking snowing outside, I'll keep my windows closed, obviously. Do you know what I mean? But for the most part, I try and keep a cool temperature in my room. Why? Because you need air, obviously more oxygen in the room. It's not stuffy, that's one thing, but it's a cooler room. So that means you're more likely to fall into the ideal temperature for better sleep. So that's one big, massive thing.
What about a shower?
To be honest, this is something I've changed my opinion on over time. What I've realized with showers, I used to say to guys that don't have a really hot shower late at night, and I've changed my tune on it because I did my research, and
there's the whole relaxing part of it. It might be good for the brain, I don't know if again I'm nowhere near. I'm the last person to talk about sleep, But as far as relaxing, the shower can chill you out,
Big time. Like I used to say, don't have a hot shower, and I think I've actually.
I don't. I have my shower when I get home from work. I have my shower at 4:30 every day.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm just asking.
What I've realized is hot showers are actually not scalding hot, but a good shower is actually good for your sleep. And I didn't know that. I thought just because I'm like high body temperature equals fucking shit sleep. And it's like, actually that's not true, because there's central. It's like your heart is where, it's like centrally what's your core temperature. Your core temperature increases with organ function. That's like if you're digesting a load of food, chances are your body temperature spiked, your core temperature spiking way up. If I'm going in and having a shower, it's just warming up my muscles. You know what I mean? It's external as opposed to internal, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know we're
relaxing as well.
Yeah, and it's good, and you get out. And I've actually noticed now, if I have a hot shower or a decent shower before I go to bed, it does aid my sleep because it does relax me, as Peter says. So I would say the ultimate combination would be a nice warm shower and then a cool room, and you go in and like that's fucking absolutely excellent for sleep. Other things then, small tips and tricks, like as I said to you before, less light exposure, more of like if you read for 10 to 15 minutes, that's the perfect stimulus that just like, winds your brain down naturally. And as soon as you get that sleepy feeling, boom, close the book, lose it, and fucking lights off. What other stuff plays a factor here with sleep? Let me
water. Drinking water, like, you know, I used to always bring a cup of tea to bed.
Yeah. Pissing like a fucking demon. That's the problem. So for a lot of people, it's like, oh, I always wake up in the middle of the night. And I always ask them, it's like, how much water are you drinking late at night? It's like, yeah, I have a pint of water before I go to bed. It's like, there's your answer. That's why you're waking up. So here, the thing about water intake, is 95%, 98% of the water you're drinking, you should have had it before. You know what I mean? Before it's time for bed. You should have.
You talking like 90 minutes or 2 hours or an hour, or what are you talking?
I would say, like, if you have to have a bit of water, like, sip on it. You know what I mean? But try and reduce the amount of water that you're intaking into your body, because if you could do that, all of a sudden, then you're not waking up for a piss in the middle of the night. You think your body doesn't stop processing shit. You know
you're not actually thirsty.
No.
You just have a bit of a goo on you, a psychological thirst, or maybe just a dry mouth.
Yeah, so the key thing is drink your fucking water during the day. It's like if you have to drink 2.5 liters in a day, then it's like you should have had that already. You know, if you need to take a sip on something late at night, you have a sip on something. But gulping lots of water late at night, it is game, set, and match if you want to sleep properly. And you're not going to be able to get into a restful state because you will fucking wake up. Same thing about if you have an inkling that you need to take a piss before you're trying to fall asleep, get up and take a piss. Get up and take a piss. Don't be like, no. Do you ever get that? No, leave it. And then you're up.
I always did that. I was like, I always go, right, I'm up early in the morning. I'll keep that. I'll hold on to that. So I'll get up out of bed. I'll hold on to that as an alarm clock.
I'll keep the piss. Thanks. Fucking
I'll hold on to it. Meanwhile, I've the fucking kidneys of a bleeding 75-year-old.
That's so funny. Another thing that I touched on, sorry, this is the last thing that I want to touch on, that we were speaking about smoking weed and we were speaking about beer. Just drinking late at night anyway. If anyone hasn't watched it, I suggest you go and watch the Matthew Walker episode on Joe Rogan. It's fucking excellent on sleep. Really, really insightful. But I was always, when I was, obviously I've been a fucking stoner my whole life. I don't really dabble nearly as frequently as I used to. I've tried to cut it down massively. But again, the odd time that I might have a smoke, if it's a social occasion or a fucking weekend or whatever, it usually I feel it massively in my sleep. I feel it. And a lot of people talk absolute bollocks and they're like, I need it for sleep. Lie. That is a lie. Stuff like that artificially helps you fall asleep, but it affects your brain waves, whether that's fucking, I don't know, if it's beta waves in your brain, right? Your brain waves are affected by booze and they're affected by weed. And what that does is it stops you from getting into REM sleep. It stops you getting into a deep sleep. And that's why you'll smoke a joint. You'll fall asleep really easily, but you'll fucking drift and you'll wake up feeling bollocksed because you haven't actually rested. You've just kind of been in this unconscious, like coma state. You know, and it's not. The stages to sleep, and the REM sleep is the most important, and you're not getting there. So that's the last thing I wanted to touch on, is that if you are in that fucking smoking a bowl every single night, you probably need to dial that back. Same thing if you're drinking every single night, you need to fucking dial that back. You know, and you need to ask yourself, am I using this as a crutch? You know, if I am, chances are it's affecting my sleep, which is having a knock-on effect on my energy and everything else that comes with energy. So that is sleep in a nutshell for chefs. Follow the advices I've said to you. Reduce light exposure, cool your temperature down in your room, cool your body temperature down. Don't eat late at night. Don't be gulping loads of fucking water. And whatever your wind down method is, you need to dial that in and have a consistent routine around falling asleep. Do that, Jeff, and I guarantee you'll start to see differences in where you're at.
And sure, look, just a disclaimer, I'm up to 5 to 6 hours. From 4 to 5 hours. When I'm telling people now, oh man, I got nearly 6 hours sleep last night, they're like, how are you fucking still alive?
He's fucking
I'm working on it. I'm working on it, you know? I'm working on it. Now, I had my, remember I showed last week, we forgot to say, but not that you even had to say this, but remember I put up a picture last week after the bank holiday weekend?
Yep.
Where Friday night, 2.5, 3 hours sleep. Saturday night, 3.5 hours sleep.
That's mental.
Sunday night, 2 hours sleep, and then 3 hours sleep. Tuesday, back to work. Burnt my hand about 16 fucking times. Had a row with everybody I came across.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There you go, pal. There you go.
Living proof.
Frontal lobe, I think they call that. Yeah. They don't call me Mr.
FIFA 98 was 21 years ago. That's some fucking habit. FIFA 98, that was 21 years ago. That's some habit to break.
Fucking saying church. FIFA 98. Remember those? Remember the graphics and shit, man? Joe, it just came out. What came out 21 years ago from a week ago? Tekken 3. I don't know if people fucking remember Tekken 3. Fucking.
Cam, I'm not just saying this, right? With you, I'd fucking murder you on Tekken 3 or Tekken Tag. I swear to God, I fucking would.
I had
it in my car before.
Lads, listen.
Don't lads me, right? Listen.
Tony, do you remember Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, man? 2.
Of course I fucking do.
I looked up the fucking scores, right? I must have been about 8 years old, 9 years old. I don't even know. I'm about fucking 9 years old. I remember getting a score of 4 million on the high school level. 4 million. I remember I played that game so much, I got so fucking good in it that I thought I figured the whole fucking thing out. And I was like, I'm definitely one of the best players at Tony Hawk 2 ever. And
do you remember the cruise ship level?
Ah, man, it was fucking lethal. Hold on. Actually,
what a fucking game.
Folks, I'm not lying to you here. 4 million on the high school level. I'm just going to look up high scores. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Now, let's have a fucking gander at this.
Live, motherfuckers, live.
Let me fucking have a look here. Maybe I'm overstating. I think, did I say 4 million, did I?
4 million, yeah.
2 million was my score. Check this out. The Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 Big Score Competition was the event organized by Activision prior to the release. The contest was put out on the 15th of May. The grand total prize was $10,000 for Sean Fontenot, highest score of 3.5 million. My score at 9 years old was fucking 2 million. Get that into you, pal. I'll fucking take you out. Nose manual into a kick. Fuck you. Anyway.
Fucking hell.
What a way to finish. What a way to finish. So that's typically me there, pulling numbers out of my hole. Fucking
400 million points.
Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story, folks. That's what they are.
Yeah, big time, big time.
Right. Check it out on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow us on fucking Podbean as well, if that's how you're inclined. And with that in mind, peeps, this has been the episode 6 on sleep. Peter, I'm going to end this. Folks, stay safe. Be good. Peter, I'm going to actually jump this whole thing off. All right, bro?
Go.
All right. Peace.